Okay, everyone, and welcome back to the weekend market wrap up with myself, Michael Nos from Stats Edge Trading. A tale of two markets here. We got an equity market and we got a crypto market that we'll both talk about. One's exciting, one's not. Unless you're living under a rock, you know which one's which. Now, as always, we're going to take a look at these markets. I'm going to give you my thoughts on what happened this week, what we could potentially see going into next week. And then for the members of Stats Edge Trading, I'm going to run all the systems. We're going to send them to you. We got some great trades this week with HIMS. We are launching day trading strategies this week or next week. So stay tuned to that. There'll be some videos on the channel explaining what they are, how we're going to alert them. We figured out a way to alert them in real time right to your watch or smart fridge or computer, wherever you're at the time. Really, really exciting stuff. So if you're lost in this market, which I know a lot of people, a lot of traders I'm talking to are, come give us a shot. It was much easier to deal with the drawdown that we had because this market was so crazy. Being able to go back on my system, which you can see over at Stats Edge on the website, to see what happened to the system in 2000 and 2008 and 2020, right? I'd be able to see all these before, and I'm able to look at what the system is doing now and saying, hey, we're in a drawdown, but these are all the other times we're in a drawdown, and that's the nature of it, and things generally end up being absolutely fine. So let's start with the equity space this time instead of crypto, because this one's going to be quick. And then let's actually really focus on. So this is the Monday candle, and this is the Friday candle. So you can see we have not moved at all in any respects. And not only were we up a little bit, down a little bit, this range was muted, but look at each individual candle and the body of the candle. So we gap up, we move up a bit, down a bit, end up the same. We gap down, move up a bit, down a bit, end up the same. Gap down, we move up a bit, right? So it's just, this is the epitome of choppy kind of sideways action. It feels like the market is collectively waiting for something, and it could be the China US talks that are happening this weekend. That could be the reason behind it, but this is very choppy action. The reason I highlight this is just to say, be careful with your equity holdings. This is the moment where if you're in something and it's not moving either, you don't get, you don't lose your patience. You don't do anything like that. This range will need to resolve one way or another, and then we'll get some clue. Again, maybe it might be next week after the talks either go well or go poorly. Maybe we'll resolve higher or lower, but on the grand scheme of things, I think this is bullish. The fact that we have really popped off the lows now, and now we're consolidating sideways. As long as we consolidate sideways between kind of this 550 all the way up to 575, kind of in this range, to me, that's bullish because it means that there's not that fear that's driving us to new lows. We had a pop and now we're holding that pop. So there's an underlying bid or demand in the market that's kind of holding that up. To me, that's bullish. The only thing that could be bearish at this point is if we start to bleed kind of back down under this 550 and get into, the 520s or 530s in this range. That then could potentially lead to another leg lower. But the fact that we're holding up after such a huge move up, it's like we're resting after a large move. I think that looks great. But speaking of large moves, if you've been living under a rock, we've had this massive surge here in Bitcoin, finally getting through this psychological $100,000 mark that everyone looks for and pushing higher. Good moves in Solana, good moves in Ethereum, which we'll talk about as well, but a great move. And, I'm contrasting this with the fact that the equity market hasn't moved. So a big move in the crypto, pretty much nothing has happened from the equity side of things. So how am I trading the crypto market? Well, we talked about this last time we were doing something in crypto. There's been a while where crypto's just been doing nothing. The last time crypto was on the move, I did a game plan then. It worked well. So we're going to try to repeat that game plan this time. And it's essentially just this. We are looking for the anchored VWAP from all-time highs in whatever crypto it is to break. So you want to spend a lot of time below that anchored VWAP, and then you want to break up through. This is a strategy that we are running on the equity side of things with trend following for Stats Edge trading. And the example that I gave this week and something that worked out really well for us is this HIMS, right? So we bought this HIMS, right? This yellow line right here, about 41 and a quarter. Right now it's up at 52. So it was, I wish they could all work like this. Same setup, right? The idea is that putting that AVU up at all-time high, that shows you the sentiment of people who are dollar cost averaging into this trade the whole time. As we get through that level, that is now, great. So if you started buying crypto, if you entered the crypto and you started buying Bitcoin at 107, the all-time high, and you dollar cost average throughout, your average is around 90,000. We pop through that level. We know that pretty much everyone out there is starting to make money. Everyone who is short is losing money. I heard somewhere that there was like almost $1 billion or something liquidated from the short side recently in the crypto space after this big, large move up. So that's what we're seeing there. So that's all I'm doing. I'm going through all of these different cryptocurrencies. I'm slapping a VWAP at the high. I'm using that for relative strength, relative weakness, and I'm also using that for triggers for move higher. And just knowing that if that AVWAP fails, I'm out quickly for a very small hit. And if I'm right, then you get these big explosive moves. So, for example, Bitcoin, just we're well through that AVWAP. Solana, we are kind of through that AVWAP. We're trying today, a couple hours left into the day. So we're trying to break through that today. So this is also still doing okay. Ethereum, even, which is the dog of the space, you can see how we've come up and hit it, and we've backed off it a little bit. So if we consolidate here for a period of time, break out, then I'll even buy Ethereum, even though it's been the weakest one. And then ones that are underperforming, and I think we can look here for a second on Doge, because for two reasons. One is, if we take a look, I'll show you the trade that I took on Doge and what we're looking for that happened during this last cycle. You can see we spent a lot of time under this AVWAP. We faked out once, right? Take a small haircut there, comes back through. You get a really, really nice trade out of this. And that's what I'm looking for, is that quick pop through VWAP. If we can get that, that's the trade for crypto. But you can see how far below we are here on VWAP on Doge. So the game plan becomes pretty simple. To start going through cryptos. I'm going to go through a massive list of cryptos this weekend. I'm going to anchor VWAP from all-time highs. I'm going to set an alert at that VWAP. When we get through, if I notice, I get an alert for the trade. Hey, take a look at this. If we can get a nice kind of close and a clear through that, that's how I'm going to pick my cryptos in case we are getting this nice next bull run. I'll get a diversified bunch of the ones that are breaking that EVWAP first, and I'll just keep going till I'm out of buying power. And then if we're right and we get an extension from there, maybe it looks a little bit like what happened last time. So what happened last time, when we finally broke out to new highs on Bitcoin, to the high we had, that's about a 40% gain. So let's say we do a little less than that this time. Let's say we do a 30% gain when we break through the highs. You're sitting around 145-ish, give or take, on Bitcoin. I'd take it. That'd be a great trade. Now, what if you got, instead of taking out the breakout from highs, if this trade ends up working and you go to that same target about 145, that's a 60% gain. So again, with Solana in particular, and all the meme coins from it, well, if you get through that all-time highs, it's already like a set to the all-time high. It's like an 80% gain. So you get through that at all, it's potentially double. And I'm risking just this little bit. So that's just my whole thinking. That's my game plan when it comes to crypto. I am building cryptocurrency strategies for Stats Edge. So eventually this will be systematized just like everything else we do. So stay tuned for that. But first, the day trading strategies. Then I'm going to increase the frequency of the swing trading strategies. People have been asking for more swing trading strategies. I've got a couple ideas of things that I'm going to test that will make for smaller but more frequent swing trades, and then on to crypto. So that's what I'm looking at. Again, if you're an equity only trader, just wait for this range to resolve. If you're a crypto trader, I think this weekend you got some work to do. If this is going to continue, there's going to be some money to be made. If this is just a big fade, then oh well, that's life. It'll just come right back down, and we'll look for something next week. So thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate very much the support and the comments and how well Stats Edge is growing and how much good feedback I'm getting from that service as well. And until I talk to you next time, get away from the screens.